All right, we are live, but we got to let it breathe just for a second while we bring on Facebook. And I'm hoping that the streaming glitches that I was having earlier aren't apparent on this one. I'm gonna hop into the control room and see how it looks. I don't need the encoder. I just need
Hmm.
to see the. Hang tight, guys. Well, I'm just gonna rely on you guys, I guess, for now. Or actually, I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Hang tight. Hang tight. We're going to get this podcast officially started here in just a second. Hang tight, guys. Mile High Huddle, blah, 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 blah. Yep, that's the one. We're live. I know, guys. Hang with me. I was having these weird glitches earlier. No, I think we're good, Ron. I think we're good. It looks normal to me. So, welcome in, everybody. This is the Orange and Blue View. I'm Chad Jensen. That guy over there, you know him, you love him, Ron White. Ron, we are at the tail end of a longer than normal feeling mini buy, which of course, coming off the Christmas night game on a Thursday, we passed the 1 week mark from that Thursday night. And so we're now kind of running on fumes. But the Broncos will host the Chargers tomorrow in a game that will decide the 1 seed. How are you feeling about things, my brother?
Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to Chad as well.
You too, bro.
Regarding tomorrow's game, I feel good. I feel good. This should be a game where the Broncos win. I know a lot of us would like to see a win in convincing fashion. And based on what the Chargers have decided to do tomorrow, it should be, but it is the NFL. So it may be a little bit of a closer game than one would expect. But I think Sean Payton has prepared this team to go in and execute well, knowing what's on the line. So given that, from what I've heard, this week, Chad, at Mile High, I feel good. I feel good that the Broncos will get it done tomorrow and they will secure that number one seed going into the playoffs.
I feel good about it too. Um, I think it was once again a batted 1,000. Everyone at MHH picked the Broncos to win this game. Now, who knows? It might have been different if Justin Herbert was playing and all the starters. Now,
Mhm.
we don't yet know for sure exactly which other starters besides Justin Herbert they plan on sitting. Although I think the injury and practice reports throughout the week kind of gave us a hint because guys like Derwin James, Khalil Mack, and
Mhm.
others, Keenan Allen. He's going to play, though, Keenan Allen, because he's got a
Mhm.
incentive he's got to hit. But they were either DNPs or limited, and they're not really nursing anything. That's just because they were given rest. So it wouldn't shock me if those guys, Thule included, end up not playing or playing very light and limited. But we shall see. Some hellos real quick. We got Gene William in the hizzy. What's up, dude? Good to see you, big dog. Happy New
Good to see
Year.
you,
He
Gene.
says, my boys, how are we tonight? We're good. Had to pop in on a Saturday for the first time in a while. Can't wait for tomorrow. Well, welcome, bro. It's great to have you. Hope you and the fam have had a great couple of weeks of the holiday season. And it's kind of weird, Ron, that you wake up, you go to bed one night and it's basically like 2025. You wake up the next and it's 2026. But such is the nature of time. I'm excited for what remains of this season, though, Ron, in 2026.
Yes, yes, excitement. It is weird, Chad. It's like, oh, we're already in 2026, and I just felt as though 2025 just arrived.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for the new year and for this team heading into the playoffs. And again, Gene, thank you so much for coming in, for popping in. It's always good to see you. And yeah, I'm doing well. I feel good. I feel good about this victory tomorrow, and I feel good about our squad moving forward.
We also have here some other hellos. A dear member, Jason, checking in. Good to see you, pal. Big Earn saying, what's up? Go Broncos country
Hey.
only. Sunny Days in the house. Nice to have you. Miller Time, what's up, buddy? Um, Papa Bear jumping in with a super chat. Thank you, my friend. Happy New Year right back at you. He's wishing all of Broncos country a happy New Year with a hashtag God bless the USA 14 and 3 plus 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 plus. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a politics or world events show, but woke up this morning to some kind of crazy news relative to the hashtag God bless the USA. Some crazy stuff going. Thankfully, this is about escaping from all that stuff. We're not here to talk about the politics. Not to say that that's what you were trying to do here, Papa Bear. I know that's one of your regular hashtags, but kind of a weird morning for that stuff is all I'm bringing up. But thank you, Papa Bear. So good to see you, bro. And String Guy, the Raj in the house, a dear member saying, good evening, Chad, Ron, and Broncos country. We are one game away from the number 1 seed. Do you guys think Sean Payton will focus on the run game with RJ Harvey? What do you expect, Ron?
Yeah, String Guy, thank you for coming in. And I do think that will be a focus, but I don't think it's going to be just Harvey. Sean Payton did allude to it this week that, he needs to give Jaleel McLaughlin more touches. And you see when he's in the lineup, he can definitely get those hard yards.
Yep.
Obviously, we know with J.K. Dobbins, that would be the preference, but I feel as though Jaleel McLaughlin does provide a spark, and you saw a lot of that in the Chiefs game. So you would probably see more of that tomorrow. And I think that complement of Harvey, that tandem, I should say, of Harvey and Jaleel, I think will be a focus tomorrow, because I know that's still one of the things that they need to get going as this playoffs move forward, of getting a focus on that run game. And I think they need to figure out who needs to be involved more. Obviously, I know Sean's Boo and RJ Harvey is going to get a bulk of the touches, but there needs to also be a sprinkler too with Jaleel McLaughlin in the fold.
I mean, if you just take it back the last 2 weeks, I can see why Sean Payton's going, you know what, with that burst and the vision that Jaleel's showing us, we got to get him more involved, because in that loss to the Jags, he averaged 7.4 yards per carry, but he only touched the ball five times in terms of carries and total, that is. He didn't have any receptions. Now, if I go even one more game back to week 15 versus the Packers, let me find that one. Let's see how he did. He only carried it twice, so that doesn't really count. But so against the Jags and then against the Chiefs, Ron, the Chiefs, he rushed for 5.7 yards per carry. So basically, over the past 2 games, Jaleel McLaughlin has been in a bit of a groove. He's been offering up the Broncos offense a nice, not so much change of pace, but man, he just seems to kind of understand. Maybe that's his veteran. He's in year 3. RJ's a rookie. Might be that, but he just seems to kind of understand the blocking concepts a little bit better. And when he hits the hole, he hits it with not only that burst that is very nice to see, but with the confidence of a guy going, I know this is where the ball needs to go.
Yep. Agreed. And again, I really hope that Sean Payton kind of sticks to his word here of using Jaleel, because you're going to need that veteran presence moving forward in the playoffs. And you mentioned, Chad, that like the burst with some of those rush yards, it's good to see. Again, a little bit of a different skill set between Harvey and Jaleel. And I do like what Harvey has done. I mean, with 12 touchdowns so far as a rookie. I know some of them receiving, some of them rushing. But when Harvey's in the fold, it's been great. But you still need that veteran presence that can, with that quick burst, just gain those 4 and 5 yards. So yeah, I do think, String Guy, that the running game as a whole in its totality will be a focus for tomorrow.
I'm really dying to know what the true timeline is on J.K. Dobbins, because when he first got hurt, it was kind of like, well, if they make it to the Super Bowl, he could be back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we are. We're almost to the playoffs. That time approaches, sooner than you think. We're only a month away from when the Super Bowl will be played, a little farther than a month out in real time. But then just a few weeks ago, Sean Payton, when he was being asked about a different player coming off of IR, kind of made it sound like JK's ahead of schedule and could be back a lot sooner than maybe the initial prognostications suggested. So it wouldn't completely shock me. Now, this is what I'm about to say is not a bold prediction. I'm just saying it would not completely shock me, Ron, if we got a Dobbins appearance in the divisional round, possibly as a surprise. We'll see. I'm not predicting it, but like just going off of the way he said what he said, Sean Payton, and then also J.K. Dobbins being spotted in the facility this week and just being around and visible more, like makes me wonder. Phil, jumping in. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Thank you for throwing down some stars. Tucson Phil, as he's known, says, good evening and happy new year, Chad and Ron. Right back at you, big dog. He says,
Phil.
let's hope we see a complete and dominant game tomorrow. Hashtag Buckham MHH for life, Broncos for life. Indeed. Jim Harbaugh, Ron, he's not going to make it too easy on the Broncos beyond whatever he's already planning in terms of some of the personnel that's going to rest. I think you'll see kind of a scrappy Chargers team, but they're looking at this going, all right, we played ourselves out of the division, right? We lost that last game to the Texans. Broncos got the division. We like a matchup with the Patriots because we think at full strength with all of our horses, we can beat the Broncos if we have to come to their house in the divisional round. And that could end up in terms of the way the games are laying out. That could be how it shakes out because the Chargers probably end up going to New England if it ends up shaking out the way we think it will. I like the way they match up against the Patriots, Ron. It would not shock me in the least if the Broncos, their first game in the playoffs, is hosting a familiar foe in Harbaugh and company.
Yeah. And Phil, thank you for coming in. And I agree, Phil. I think we're all asking for a complete game. It would be nice for the Broncos to dominate. But again, just given how the NFL is, that's not a guarantee. But yeah, this Chargers defense is not going to take tomorrow off at all, regardless of who's playing tomorrow. They're going to make it very difficult for the Broncos on offense. But I do think to make it complete, Phil, there are a few things the Broncos really need to work on. We discussed the running game. That's one aspect. This is also an opportunity to clean up the penalties and also to clean up the drops. So if we can get that type of Broncos team tomorrow, I do see them, coming out with a nice game and getting that victory. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, Chad, just not only with the Chargers, but just in general, because I think right now the Chargers are I believe if it's today, the Chargers are the 6th seed and Buffalo 7th.
I'll pull it up.
I may want to verify that for me. And I know Josh Allen, I'm not sure of his status tomorrow. I know they're playing with the Jets. So, that'll be interesting to see kind of how that shakes out, if there's any change within the seeding. Because I know Chargers probably don't want to go to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Wild card.
So right now, the Chargers are the 6th, the Bills are the 7th.
Yeah. Okay.
That's if the playoffs were starting tomorrow.
Starting today. Yeah. If it's starting today, yep.
Today.
So I think, they may be okay, obviously, with the loss. And then if the Bills win, like you said, that'll drop the Chargers to 7th. And then that's a favorable matchup with New England.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough one. It's an interesting matchup, New England and LA.
Yeah.
But yeah, just hoping for a nice complete game, Phil, tomorrow.
Yep. So the 4 seeds coming down to the Steelers or the Ravens. That'll be decided tomorrow. They'll be the 4 seed. Jags are pretty much expected to be the 3 seed. Have they clinched?
No. So the Texans are still on their trail, because if the Jags lose and if the Texans win, then they've clinched a playoff spot, yes, but they haven't clinched the division. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see how it shakes out, but it's getting exciting. It's getting right down to the wire on all this stuff, but the Broncos, they got to be careful. Not on one hand, you go, well, don't show the Chargers too much because you might have to see them again. On the other hand, Ron, these two teams know each other well, right? Yeah. And up to this point, the full strength Harbaugh / Herbert Chargers have kind of had the Peyton Bo Nix led Broncos number, right? They've yet to beat the Chargers since Harbaugh arrived. But, even still, man, there's a lot of tape out there. And every once in a while, Sean Payton pulls something out of the playbook that you haven't seen for a while, or that's new, or that I think back, for example, Ron, to that New York Giants comeback in the 4th quarter. And even that go-ahead touchdown we all remember, Broncos ended up losing the lead again one last time and then got the final lead with the winning field goal. But that Bo Nix quarterback sweep around the left edge that scored the touchdown, and he's, and Garrett Bowles is out there leading the way and all that. Like, that's the only time since Bo Nix became a Bronco that I can recall a true, like, straight up quarterback sweep like that. And he saved it for a penultimate moment where the Broncos really had to have it. So, Sean Payton's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. And not only that, guys, I mean, they're watching tape on opponents every week. They're working things they like from different schemes they see into the playbook and the game plan here and there. They can't go too crazy with that because there's a reason they do the offseason training program. There's a reason they do training camp. So these players can learn and assimilate the scheme and the playbook and know everything. But, Sean Payton talks often about the touchdown reel that he gets presented every Monday that shows all the touchdowns from the weekend. Mm-hmm. You don't think a guy like Cameron is thinking up, seeing those things going, ooh, I could apply that in this kind of situation against this kind of an opponent and working it in here and there. So I don't worry too much about, are the Broncos at risk of showing the Chargers too much? I mean, they already know each other really well. You just got to trust that if it comes down to it in the playoffs and they meet again, Ron, that the Broncos are going to be ready for them.
I agree, Chad. The familiarity, I don't think, there's going to be a lot of new things thrown the other team's way. It's just a matter of playing your best football when you play them. And, a lot of these games are won, at the line of scrimmage, who can dominate at the line of scrimmage. And, the Chargers, over the past few games we've played them, they've just had that one extra play to put them over the top. Like we saw the first matchup where I think it was Benito trying to go for the ball and Justin Herbert escapes out to hit Keenan Allen for the touchdown, right? So just that, like I say, it's a game of inches.
Yeah.
It's just those things where, you have to, and on defense, the Broncos have to be sound to try to, they had their sacks. They had the number of sacks against Herbert, but, Herbert's that savvy of Herbert can maneuver. So just kind of one of those things where the Broncos have to be sound on both sides of the ball when they play the Chargers because they're built similarly.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Chargers have a little bit of a better quarterback in Herbert, but they just have to play fundamentally sound football when they're playing their division opponent.
It's interesting because statistically, Herbert, he has a lot of better numbers than Bo Nix, especially when you look at rating, completion percentage, stuff like that. But the one thing that Justin Herbert, or I should say that Bo Nix has over Justin Herbert is, he doesn't charger when the chips are down. Like you get to these late season moments, you get to the playoffs, and there's a reason the phrase Charger's going to charger. And unfortunately, as great as Herbert has been as a pro since coming into the league, what was that, Ron, 2020? As great as he's been, he has not been impervious to the chargering. Like he still contributed to Chargers going to charger, even with Jim Harbaugh last season at certain points this year, them getting blown out by the Jags, etc. And guys, we have so much more that we're going to get to. We'll put a pin in that for a second because there's some fun stuff to look forward to from Bo Nix to watch for tomorrow that we're going to talk about next. But guys, the playoffs, they're right around the corner. It's almost here. And Underdog remains the best place to get in on all that action. I'm sure most of you have answered the bell. You've used our promo code MHuddle to get in on the action. But guys, you want to get off the bench into the game. Head over to Underdog, download the app. And by the way, it's not just football. Whether you're into basketball, hockey, any sport in between, Underdog is the best place to get in on all that action. And that's all season long.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Playing on Underdog is very simple. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on statistics like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and a lot more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your money.
It's amazing, guys. It's so much fun playing Underdog. The opportunity to win money while you're watching football. That's a touchdown. So download the Underdog app today. Sign up with our promo code MHuddle to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions playing on Underdog. You got to ask yourself, will you be next?
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Okay, we got one here also. Jason saying, play clean fundamental football, win, and stay healthy. That's all that matters. Yes, indeed. They're going to need to stay as healthy as they possibly can. They've had a few injury setbacks the last few weeks, but they got to stay healthy. That's for sure. And then String Guy says, I heard about some type of a shoe insert for the Dobbins type of foot injury. Anyone else have any information? Well, there are those sole inserts for plantar fascia injuries and tears and just issues. But Ron, I don't know how applicable they are to NFL, especially of all the positions. You think, at least on offense, you got running back, wide receiver, that plant and explosion. You know, you think about it right now, if you stand up and you bend your foot and you think about exploding off the line of scrimmage, man, and all that strain and pressure and pounds per square inch that come down on those ligaments on the bottom of your foot, that's the plantar fascia. I don't know how much, Ron, an insert would really help. Maybe it can, maybe it will, but other than knowing that those type of inserts exist, Raj, I don't know anything specific relative to, is Dobbins going to wear one, or would that help Dobbins get back sooner? I just know they do exist.
Yeah, again, thank you, String Guy, for coming in. Yeah, I know they also exist, but yeah, just a matter of, how much that will help. I mean, with Dobbins, I mean, it could. I know with him, his kind of change of direction, kind of the burst, it may, and then it might hinder too. But yeah, I'm curious to see, if and when he does come back, kind of what all that looks like.
For sure.
So yeah.
Thank you, String Guy. We're hoping it's sooner than later, big dog. We got David Vasquez checking in on Facebook. Go Broncos, 4 wins for our 4th Super Bowl title. It's within spitting distance, that's for sure. Mark Kennedy on Facebook says, a game without turnovers on offense. Make sure they tackle. No arm tackling. Yeah, no drops. That would help. Do you guys think these missed tackles are from them trying to punch the ball out instead of just trying to tackle them? In some cases, but no, it's just kind of whenever a team, a unit, Ron, is missing tackles, it's always a want to issue. And you can point to like technique and all that stuff. And when they miss a tackle, there's almost always some kind of technical fail involved when it comes to technique. But by and large, Ron, it's a want to. And the Broncos, I think, by virtue of that winning streak and just kind of cruising, and I mean, not to say that they just all these wins have been cruising, because so many of them, as we know, came down to the 4th quarter, but just that feeling of we can't be beat. Yeah, the Jags set us back, but we were due for one. We had won 11 in a row, whatever. I think it's still a battle for the heart and soul of the Broncos, and they got to come out and show tomorrow on Sunday that we do want this. We do recognize that we have not been playing up to our standard defensively. And if you look at the numbers, Eric laid it out early this week in a great article. I hope you guys caught it at milehighhuddle.com. But the numbers since the bye, guys, defensively, they're allowing more points, and they're allowing way more yards. And the advanced analytics show a drastic regression as well. So that's something that the Broncos, Ron, got to get a finger on. And I think for the tackling, it really is more of a want to. It's not so much, oh, we're trying to punch the ball out. But like if you watch Brandon Jones before he got hurt, God bless him, he's the guy who's the last line of defense, and he would come up from the 3rd level, basically. And a lot of times he would just dive at a guy's legs and the guy would go down. How often in your mind can you think of Brandon Jones squaring up on someone and arm tackling them, like with it, wrapping his arms around him, bringing them to the ground? That's not really his game, and his size is part of that. But my point here is it is a want to. Yes, there's some technique involved. I don't think it's, Ron, so much about punching the ball out, but where's your heart? Let's get these guys to the ground.
Yeah, I completely agree. Mark, it's all about the desire to tackle. And I think you saw in that Jags game, the Broncos just didn't take the Jags seriously. They didn't respect, maybe outside of Jacoby Myers, because there was a lot of emphasis on trying to stop him. They didn't respect the others. BTJ and definitely Parker Washington. So
Yeah.
I do think that needs to be, the point of emphasis. Could some of it be trying to kind of punch the ball out? Possibly. I know VJ, they've now trying to focus on the turnover differential. So, they may have that in the back of their mind, chat of, hey, we may need to try to attack to get the ball out. But I don't think they're going into each play on defense with that in mind. The tackling just has to get better. And I think you'll see it get better, as they move forward because, I think with the Jaguars game, the Jaguars now have the Broncos' attention. And I think not just with that team, but I think it's a wake-up call for any opponent that the
Yep.
Broncos will play that, they have to have that want, that desire
Yep.
to come up and make the tackle. Because you saw so many from Raleigh Moss and others. It was just bad. That Jacksonville game was bad. So if they can focus on going back to the fundamentals, and I forgot who brought it up earlier, fundamental football, tackling on defense is a part of that. I think they'll be fine.
100%. So let's, a big part of tomorrow is, the Chargers are resting probably a few guys, and we know Herbert's not going to play, but I still view this very much as kind of a acid test of where this team's heart is at. So we shall see. But Phil jumping in again to say, do you guys think Peyton will try to get Adam Troutman the 5 receptions he needs for a $125,000 bonus? Yeah, they'll try, but I mean, I did the research on it when I wrote up the article after he talked about it. And Adam Troutman has 3 games as a pro since he's been in the league where he's had 5 receptions. That is his single game career high, 5 receptions. He's done it 3 times. Once as a Bronco, ironically, his very first game as a Bronco back in 2023, week 1, he caught 5 passes. So is it possible? Yeah. Do you need to force feed the ball to Troutman? I mean, I think Bo's going to try, but Courtland Sutton's also got some milestones at stake. Not so much the incentives, Ron, but he's exactly 100 yards away from tying his career high yardage mark, which he set way back in 2019, his first Pro Bowl nod. So we'll see. But what do you think for Phil?
Yeah, thank you, Phil, for the question. I mean, I think, Sean Payton will try to do it. But again, Troutman's not too much of a pass catcher. And I guess depending on game flow, I do think Troutman's going to be targeted some to make that attempt to reach that incentive. But if they don't do it, I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. But that the attempt will be there. I do think the focus on the run game, as we brought up earlier, will be there. And I know there's another, this is not necessarily an incentive, but it would be nice, Chad.
Yeah.
Also for Bo Nix to get 210 yards passing so he can be the 4,000-yard passer.
Yep.
As well. So there are a few different storylines here, Phil. Again, some of them incentive-based, some of them not. And again, I do think given Sean Payton's track record, he'll try to definitely make sure that these players get him, but I don't think they're going to go in this game looking to achieve.
Yeah, Bo Nix has the chance to become just the 5th Broncos quarterback ever to reach the 4,000-yard passing mark. Now, Peyton did it 3 times, Peyton Manning. 3 of his 4 years as a Bronco, he eclipsed 4,000. One of those, he eclipsed 5,000, still the record. 5,277 yards remains the record. But Elway, here are the names. Bo could join here in this particular milestone. Elway did it once. Manning, Jake Plummer. Can you guys guess? Give me guesses right now who the 4th guy, not named Bo Nix, who got 4,000. Hit us in the chat. We'll come back to it. First, let's grab Ronk. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you,
thank you for this week, man. In particular, you've just been amazing with your support. Happy New Year to you, big dog. He says, good evening, Chad and Ron on Orange and Blue View. Go Broncos. Mile high salute right at you, Ronk. Appreciate you, big dog.
Thank you, Ronk. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Okay, what do we got? Come on, guys. Who's that 4th quarterback? Could it be Kyle Orton? Could it be Brian Greasy? Who could it be? No, Pacheco, Edward. It's not Craig Morton. Not Craig Morton. Let's see. How can I hint? Let me think of a hint. There you go, New Orleans. Deuce, you got it. I was going to give a hint, Vanderbilt, and totally give it away, but Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler. So Bo Nix not only can join the 4,000 club. Yep, Mark. But if he wins tomorrow, Ron, he joins Russell Wilson with as the quarterbacks with the most wins through their first 2 years in the league, 24. Dude, that's crazy.
Yes, I know.
Add it up. Okay, hold on. Now, I've never thought of looking at it like this, but I'm going to do it real quick. So, Bo Nix is about to deliver 24 wins through his first 2 years. If you take the entire sum of Denver's wins from 2016 to when he got here, so let me count it up: 9, 14, 20, 27, 32, 39 plus 5, so 44 and 8. So he's about halfway there. He's about halfway. I mean, it's a lot of winning. He's done a good job, man. And Sean Payton's got his guy. And it seems like, each week in those same game capsules that we do the screen share on Thursday nights for the head-to-head matchup, that's where I get the information for what milestones are on the table. The Broncos provide that information to us. God bless them. And it seems like every single week, Ron, he's got a new record on the table. But I'll tell you, who's had a new record on the table that for the last 3 weeks, and each week he's been unable to get it. This is his last chance. Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito has 12.5 sacks this season. If he can get one more, let me double check that. Hold on. Let me double check his number. Nick Bonito this season has, where did it go? There he is. 12.5. Yeah. So if he gets one more sack, and he's had this within reach, again, the past 3 games, this will be the 4th game he's been on the table. If he can get a sack, he'll become the first and only Bronco besides Simon Fletcher, not Von Miller, not Elvis Dumerville, not DeMarcus Ware, to have back-to-back seasons, Ron, of 13.5 or more sacks. Kind of crazy to think that not even Von pulled that off. Von had many in a row double-digit sacks, but, some of those were 10.5, 11, 12s, etc. So kind of cool. I hope he gets it because he's been on a little bit of a drought. And by the way, same with Jonathan Cooper. If Jonathan Cooper, I'll tell you what's on the table for Coop this week. If he's able to, so he needs 2 sacks to become just the 3rd 7th round pick since 1994 to record double-digit sacks in back-to-back years. Remember, last year he had 10.5, but he's sitting there a couple sacks away from hitting that again, and he's been in a little bit of a slump. But the good news is, Ron, for both these guys, both Bonito and Cooper, they're playing Trey Lance. So they're 8 sacks away from the all-time single-season record set by the Bears, which is 72, Ron. 8 sacks away at 64. It's possible. It's a little kind of crazy to think they'd get 8, but at least those 2 guys should get back on the horse and try and hit those milestones.
Yeah, I agree. It's been, the Broncos pass rush as a whole, Chad, it has been kind of non-existent the past several weeks. Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito, they really haven't had the production. And again, these opposing teams, their offense have been adjusting. The quarterbacks have been getting the ball out quick. They've been doing a lot of the running the football as well. That's the best way to neutralize the pass rush. But I do think this is the perfect opportunity, this game, with no Herbert and that offensive line of the Los Angeles Chargers, regardless of who they have in there at tackle and guard, that they can get in and get back in that sack column. I'm expecting, I think I predicted 3 or 4 sacks, I believe, registered 4 sacks, 2 from each of them. So 2 from Cooper and 2 from Bonito. And again, it's definitely within the realm of the plausible, given, who they're going to trot out there for the Chargers. But yeah, I'm just hoping that they can get back on track because, we've missed them. We're going to need them. It's definitely in the playoffs and that home crowd, hopefully, if we get home field. So they need to get back on track.
Zach Allen as well. So Zach, he set his career high last season, 8.5 sacks. And if you remove that 2024 campaign, of which he also was named a second-team All-Pro. But if you remove that from his resume, this season would be his new career high. He has 6.5, but he's 2 sacks away from at least tying his actual career high of 8.5. So how cool would it be to see those guys just go in on Trey Lance and get close to that record? I mean, they've been within spitting distance for 3 straight games, man, but they've slumped. They've been slumping, man, and that includes the pass rush. And even though Sean Payton said on earlier this week, basically, that he's not so much worried about the sacks, he's worried about how we rush and the cage rush and all that. And as soon as we started hearing about the cage rush is when you can correlate the pass rush productivity going down. So I don't know how much of that has to do with what opponents have figured out about the Broncos defense and VJ, are you adjusting, etc. But again, Sunday's going to be a little bit of a litmus test. Miller Time wants to know, if we go to the Super Bowl or not, do you think we should go in all in this draft and trade some of next year's picks to get the guys the Broncos want? Between free agency and the draft, sky is the limit. I don't think so. I really don't, because you got a young team. You got a lot of years in the future ahead of you that you can keep adding wood, to the fire, so to speak. I don't think you need to go crazy maneuvering in the draft unless there's just some guy that can put you next level. Like they thought maybe that was going to be in this past draft, Ron. Like they strongly considered moving up to get in front of the Raiders for Ashton Genty, but ultimately felt like there were some other options in this class that could get him damn close, including RJ Harvey. I mean, you look at RJ. First of all, if you look at Ashton Genty this season, who I would say, of course, he's been stuck on one of the, if not the worst team in the NFL. That's apparent. But his numbers this year, he's got 888 rush yards, so he's pretty close to 1,000 yards as a rookie. But 5 touchdowns rushing, 5 touchdowns receiving. So he's got double-digit touchdowns. I didn't realize he had that many receiving up to this point, but you compare that, and he's been the guy, Ron, for the Raiders all year long, and you compare that to RJ Harvey, who's been a consistent role player throughout this season, but didn't really become the guy till week 11. RJ, he's got 512 and 12 total touchdowns. So, in other words, what I'm trying to illustrate is they thought about it, but think about it. If they gave up what it would have taken, Ron, to move up to get Ashton Genty, you're giving up a lot, dude. You're not having that second round pick. You might not be having one of the third round picks this year. Next year's stuff is already compromised. And instead they went, no, we're good. We're going with our read on RJ Harvey. And so they got to have their cake and eat it too. They got RJ, they got Jahdae Barron, they got Pat Bryant, and they have their picks next year. So I don't think, and they proved, I mean, if nothing else, Ron, Sean Payton has proved in the last 2 years with that dead money from Russell Wilson's contract that, hey, man, you can put him in the corner and really pressure them and minimize the resources they have personnel-wise to compete, and they'll still go find the pieces necessary to be the 1 seed in the AFC. Like, it boggles the mind. So I really think they'd be remiss. It'd be fun to talk about and write about if they did it, Ron, but I don't think it makes that much football sense.
Yeah, and again, Miller Time, thank you for coming in with the question. I wouldn't want the Broncos to do that either, just because that's how you build a good team like this is now through the draft. And I would want to compromise the following year's picks to go all in on this upcoming draft. I just don't think that makes sense. And I've heard as well, like, this draft is very similar to the last year's draft, where pick 1 to pick 32, there's not really too much of a difference, regardless of position, obviously. So I wouldn't want, I still would want the Broncos to pick the best player given their need at the time, but I wouldn't want that to be them moving up and sacrificing the 2027 draft just because you never know, that may have more talent coming out, and you may not have a first or second round pick in 2027 because you went all in 2026. So I would really want them to just kind of do what they did this past draft, Chad, of stick to their board, and and also look at free agency. Miller time you brought up. I think they're going to be very active in this free agent class. Again, there might be in the receiver, running back market. I know Brees Hall is going to be available. Might be someone the Broncos want to maybe try to see if they can sign. But yeah, I wouldn't want to trade 2027's some of their picks from next year, because I do want them to stick to their board and go through the processes for the next few years while Bo Nix is still on this rookie deal.
Exactly. And look, free agency wise, man, they're still playing with plenty of money to go do what they need to do. I mean, yeah, you got the top 51 stuff. It's going to be a little bit less than this, but they're currently projected to have roughly 36 million in cap space in 2026. So I don't think they need to go out doing anything too crazy as far as utilization of their resources. So anyway, thanks, Miller Time. Good to see you, buddy. Brutal jumping in on X saying, let's go MHH. Love the pod and love Bridge the Gap. Let's go. Let's go Broncos. God bless the USA. Amen, bro. Thank you for that, pal. All right, guys. Well, Ron and I, we were kind of like, well, look, here we are. The last MHH stream of this mini buy. We've kind of, over the last 10 days, squozing about as much juice out of this matchup as you can get in terms of podcast fodder, what we can talk about. So we're like, oh, we'll probably keep tonight relatively brief, but we're already run at 41 minutes. So here's what I'll say, guys, is if you have any burning topics or questions, get them in the chat, but kind of consider this a little bit the 2-minute warning.
I want to bring one up, Chad. Oh, I want to. Yep. Before we get to this one, Justin, well, I'm coming. Thank you. This is a great question here, Justin. Do Cats think they will bring back Greenlaw or draft someone? I do think, great question, Justin. Thank you again for coming in. I think both. And again, I know Greenlaw, I know he has that long injury history, but Greenlaw is just such a dude that's so fired up. Like, you want a Dre Greenlaw on your team. And he gets that defense going, gets the crowd rocking. I just love his energy. And I do think that he does come back. I'm pretty sure there might be discussions, Chad and Justin, of maybe parting ways with Sternad and or Alex Singleton. That could be on the table, but I do think Greenlaw comes back and you draft someone. I'm actually not opposed to drafting an inside linebacker first round, because they've ignored drafting the position. Well, we did have Drew Sanders, but drafting the position high, I should say, in the past. So there are guys out there, Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas, CJ Allen from Georgia. I do think if the Broncos pick, hopefully at 32, that they look into definitely drafting one of those guys high, and if not, obviously later rounds as well. But I do think both are feasible, bringing back Greenlaw and drafting some more.
Yeah, I mean, gun to my head right now, I would prefer to have Dre Greenlaw on the roster next year, even with all of the injuries and the amount of time he's missed. Because if you look at what he brings to the table, as Ron just did a good job of breaking down, he's not that expensive. He's really not. I mean, if you look at his contract next year, $7.4 million in a base salary. His total cap number is only $11 million. And yeah, they could save, like if they cut him in the spring, they could save $6.8 million on the cap with 4.3 dead. If they designated him a post June 1st cut, they could save $9 million with 2.1 million dead. I just don't think the juice is worth that squeeze. I think he's probably worth more to you on the roster. And you give him a full off season to kind of hopefully avoid the injury bug this time, because his first quad injury, of course, came during the off season. But I do like the intangible elements outside of the Houston game. And Zach reminded me the other night too, that interception that he had outside of the Houston game and that one interception. I've had a hard time really finding the palpable impact that he's made, but I do like the energy, and I think he's been set back by the time that he's missed. So what would it look like if he had a little bit more luck? I think the Broncos give it another try with Greenlaw, bring him back. And, linebacker is one of those positions that they got to get serious about, because Singleton and Sternad are both free agents this year. I think they bring back one of them. The question is which. And I think you got to err. Unfortunately, we know what Alex went through with his cancer scare, and what a warrior for overcoming that and missing only one game as a result. I mean, it's mind-boggling, and it's one heck of a story.
Yeah.
But if you're a football team and you got to make pragmatic decisions on what's best for your team in the now and the future, I mean, Singleton be entering his age 33 season next year. Now, can you point to the field and say, is there a measurable fall off? Do you see Father Time making a huge impact on Alex Singleton yet? No, not per se. But meanwhile, you look at Justin Strnad, and he's still young, man. And honestly, after back-to-back seasons, Ron, of him coming back on 1-year deals and then just proving himself again. Last year, I understand it. They brought him back on a 1-year deal. He had yet to really show his oats as a starter, but he did it really well last year. And they're like, all right, we'll bring you back for a 1-year deal one more time. So they did. And then he gets called into action as a starter again this year because of the injury to Greenlaw. And once again, he answers the bell. He's 29. So the age gap's not that big it's not as big as you might think, but I think they err on the side of Strnad.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it's any of them in the room that's impacted, it's going to be Alex Singleton. That's kind of what I've thought all along, Chad. And again, it was great. The fact that he only missed one game. After that cancer diagnosis, that was scary, obviously, but glad everything went well. But just on the field, you just see him, in coverage. You're still like, ugh,
yeah.
It's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
So you just need a person that is good in coverage, gets sideline to sideline, that is very versatile. And, I think with the age, some of Alex Singleton's best days are behind him. Now, again, he'll still rack up tackles and make plays at, during moments, but I just do think you need to kind of go younger. And again, one of those options I posed earlier with Greenlaw, and like say you bring back Strnad, I think that's probably the move that they make.
So Trevon Diggs landed with the Packers. For those talking about it in the chat. So Phil says, guys, pick 3 players you'll be keeping an eye on tomorrow. Me, he says, Nix, McLaughlin, Surtain. Well, definitely Bo Nix is one of them because he's the straw that stirs the drink, really, but especially because he's got those milestones, the 4,000 thing. I want him to get it. Keeping an eye on Troutman for the same reason with his incentives. Sutton because of the chance to break his all-time career. Now, it won't be easy. I mean, if you look at Courtland Sutton, in order to get a new career high in yards this season, Ron, he would have to have basically his biggest yardage game, one of his biggest yardage games of the season. He's been over 100 yards. He needs exactly 101 to reset his new career high. And he's been over 100 yards twice this season and almost 3 times. That game against Philly, he had 99. But he got over 118 against the Chargers in week 3, and then he had 113 against Green Bay. So if he has one of those type of games, he could get there. But do you really need to have him out there that many snaps in order to get over that hump? He's already over 1,000. He's already in the Pro Bowl. I'm not sure he needs to play that much depending on the flow of the game. So, but Nick Bonito, I want to see him get back on the horse and get into that same territory as Simon Fletcher. So a lot of the guys that we've already mentioned today with milestones at stake. Surtain, I mean, well, why don't you answer, Phil? Who are the 3 players you're keeping tomorrow?
Yeah, great question, Phil. My 3 are McLaughlin, and you mentioned one, Chad Bonito, and my 3rd is Moss.
Ooh.
We just have to see, if the technique is. I'm watching Moss every week though, so it's not going to be just this game, but just kind of watch to see if that technique has improved. Depending on the receivers that they put out. I think, like we said, Keenan Allen will play and maybe Ladd. See how he holds up, and kind of how that bodes moving forward into some of the receivers he will face in the divisional and the championship game. You have to keep an eye on Moss, but also McLaughlin, just to see if he can still get those yards. Kind of want to see what I saw in the Chiefs game from McLaughlin and Benito. Kind of want to do that sack, right? Getting back on the horse with the sacks. Want to see it happen.
There you have it. Good stuff, guys. Keith says Pat Bryant, Riley Moss, Courtland Sutton are his three for what it's worth. Fun stuff. Thanks for being a member, Keith. But guys, this has been a really fun podcast. We're looking forward to the game tomorrow. I'll see you immediately after for the gut reaction. And then, of course, if they take care of business, Ron, like we expect them to, on the next iteration of Orange and Blue View, we'll be forecasting second half of the wild card weekend, and then looking ahead. I don't know exactly what the schedules are going to be yet, but we could be by that point already talking about who the matchup's going to be for the Broncos in the divisional round. So we'll find out. But tomorrow, first things first, Ron, they got to take care of business.
Yes, for sure. They have to take care of business, eat what's on their plate right now. And, hopefully we're coming. Well, you and Zach are coming on here tomorrow with a Broncos victory and them being the number 1 seed in the AFC. So looking forward to it. Should be a good game.
Guys, connect on X. Ron, you can find him at Ron White NFL, myself at Chad and Jensen. Also at Mile High Huddle, guys. Follow. You want to get a hat, a t-shirt, mhhmerch.com is the place to do it. Connect with us also on Instagram at mile_high_huddle. We want you as part of the Discord server. The link to that is in the description of this video. It's free. Come be a part of the ongoing daily, hourly, by the minute conversation on your Denver Broncos. And then, guys, while you're with us, before we dip out of here, make sure you please like the video. Helps us out a ton. And if you're watching this after the fact, still makes all the difference when you like the video, drop a comment. Huge for us, especially on YouTube, guys. So take care of that. And then don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Those are the holy trinity, as it were. And once again, Ron, the time has flown by. I've had a blast, my friend. Thank you once again for the opportunity to get on and talk Broncos with you and our phenomenal community. And we'll see how it all shakes out tomorrow.
Yeah. Again, likewise, Chad, it's always great to talk Broncos ball with you and everyone in the community. Again, thank you guys so much for coming in. We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, hopefully you guys enjoy the game tomorrow. Go Broncos.
You know what? I almost did it, but right at the last second, I realized I hadn't done the shout outs to the stars and the superstars. Got to do it real quick. Gene William, Papa Bear, Tucson Phil, Ronk. You guys, love you. Thank you. Special shout out also to the members. So as Ron said, go Broncos.
Go Broncos.